Willkommen zum Hypno School Podcast mit Astrid Krimmel und Steen Niels Musche, deiner professionellen Quelle für Hypnoseausbildung und Hypnosefortbildung. Hier sind deine Gastgeber, Astrid Krimmel und Steen Niels Musche.
Moin, und ich kann es ja nicht lassen, deswegen sage ich einfach willkommen zurück zum Hypno School Podcast.
Hi.
Hi, Ines ist heute ein wenig schüchtern und wenn du jetzt gerade eingeschaltet hast und dich fragst, wer sitzt da neben Steen, das ist nicht Astrid, das ist richtig, also wenn du uns nicht nur hörst, sondern auch siehst, neben mir sitzt Ines Simpson, die Entwicklerin des Simpson Protocols, und da wir jetzt die Konversation gleich auf Englisch fortführen werden, wenn du kein Englisch kannst, dann empfehle ich dir jetzt rüberzugehen zu unserem YouTube-Kanal. Dort findest du unter dem Reiter Podcast diese Folge als Video mit deutschen Untertiteln, so dass du verstehst, was Ines und ich gleich so besprechen werden. Also jetzt entspannt zurücklehnen, rübergehen zu YouTube und dort mit deutschen Untertiteln anschauen. So hello and welcome, Ines.
Thank you very much.
So Ines is the creator of the gold standard of hypnotherapy, also known as the Simpson Protocol. And I invited her to be my guest today to have a little brief, short conversation about the Simpson Protocol, what it is, why it is, where it is, and everything you need to know to get a little deeper dive into that wonderful process. So, Ines, would you like to introduce yourself a little, or should I tell people who you are?
You can tell people who you are, and you can judge how much you want to say.
Okay, so Ines is the creator of the Simpson Protocol. Ines is a board-certified hypnotherapist. She's working with hypnosis for how many decades?
20 years.
20 more years.
20 more years, yeah.
So, and she's from Canada. Okay, Canada is an insider, so it's Canada. It's just branded in my mind. I can't get rid of that Canada thing. So, Ines, Simpson Protocol. So the first question, which someone who may have heard of Simpson Protocol but has no clue what it is, might be, what is the Simpson Protocol?
Well, the Simpson Protocol is just a general way of us doing hypnosis that is holistic. And we use all kinds of mind,
spirit.
yes, and soul. And there's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But we do it all together because we are all parts of the same.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody says to us, well, I don't want to do spiritual, and you say, well, I'm sorry, but you're part of that.
Yeah.
So to have the whole thing, we have to have each part being represented.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so besides that, Simpson Protocol takes someone down to the deep state of hypnosis. It isn't just somnambulism, or it isn't just light hypnosis. It goes deep down.
Yeah.
So when they do that and they allow it to happen, because they have to allow it to happen because they're one doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So we ask the questions. It seems very straightforward to me.
Yeah.
But I realize that the people don't know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
So what do I mean? They really have to be open to possibility.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be, because superconscious will not bypass their free will.
Yeah.
So it's important that they open up their minds and are open to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can think of something more adept than me to answer that question.
Well, I just would add that it's, as I always say, it's like having a holistic approach to harmonize and balance the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, body, mind, spirit, and soul. So, and with that approach, we get the best outcomes and best results. So, if you work with hypnosis for a long time, and you know there is these two ways, like Elman and Ericksonian ways or approaches, and I know that you were trained by Jerry Kine, and so more on the regression therapy path of hypnotherapy. So how did you came up with the idea of inventing the later called Simpson Protocol?
I think it started one day when I had a client come in, and he had been raped by many people, and he didn't feel like telling me any of this.
Yeah.
So the regression to cause was not going to work, not that way. So I figured out a way I'd do it where he never had to answer me out loud for anything.
Yeah.
He just started using his fingers and tell me what he's done. So I'd take him through the whole process, but I wouldn't have said a word. And that's what started it. And then superconscious showed up through this process. And then I know that I wasn't doing it as I was going along.
Yeah.
I was getting taught by the superconscious. And it always sounds like my idea. Suddenly they'd show up. And I wonder where it came from, but I said it, and it just grew from there. It evolved.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting, and I was really intrigued. So it became a process. And at first it became a process that I say to people, I write down some questions. But they always seem to think they had to be in order because they're written down in order. There's no other way to write them down. So I didn't want necessarily to have the questions. I wanted them spontaneously to happen. So as I started to teach it, later on, I started to, how am I going to do this? So I write it up. And I let them see, and then they'd read it, and they'd read it, and read it, and read it. So when you get going, I want you to be able to move it around.
Yeah, but so when I remember back in time, as you say, you just wrote it down, but when people just learn it and come from a different perspective, so I can remember the first training we did together in Germany 10 years ago, and the people were just looking at me like a little crazy because you did some demos and you did it different all the time. So it's back in that day, it was hard for someone new to get kind of the concept and the idea. Yeah.
But I always did it from the heart, from where it came, you see, So,
and you mentioned twice or three times already the superconscious mind. I've never heard of that. What is it?
Yes. Yeah, I don't really know. All I know is what it does.
Yeah.
So it brings everything it can do forward, can listen telepathic questions. It'll answer on the person's fingers. It'll ask anything or do anything. And from that perspective, there's a few things it can't do. Usually by the client holding back something.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't surpass free will. So that's whenever that's, let's say they use their conscious mind for a minute or two, they might interfere and say that's happened. But I have asked it, and it has to be asked every time. Would you please ignore their conscious interference because they really want the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they say yes. So there has to be something in the client's mind if it says no.
Yeah. I will come back to it says yes and no in a second.
Yeah.
So for someone who, we human beings always want an explanation
They
or
do.
definition of
Yes.
things. So what I always like to say, it's like having like the Force in Star Wars,
Yes.
even if we can't just move things around, but it's like that. Let's, for example, call it universal energy,
That's
which flows in us, around us, and
yeah.
is connected to everything, and we can just work with that. Or like there was this psychiatrist from Vienna, Freud, and his
yes.
his buddy Jung was talking about the collective, the collective unconsciousness, and it's in the same direction. And so some people might say, yeah, well, that's all that new age bullshit. But then I always say, yeah, well, no, because if you go back in time for thousands of years of human mankind, there are concepts telling or meaning the same, but in different cultures. So it's no new age bullshit. It's just something is there which we don't really know about or can't just touch it. So it's like
need a religion, doesn't need a specific belief. But if that's what you're imbuing with it, like in Brazil, I was teaching a Jewish person, and he said, I can't use these words. I said, you don't have to use those words. Use your intention. Use the words you want to use.
Yeah.
So there's never any specific belief in anything.
Yeah, I like two other different nice explanations of it, which Mr. Gover came up. And the one is, it's like gravity, even if you can't see it, it's there. Or the other one, it's like Ines Simpson, even if you don't know him or if you can't see him, he's there. So you can just name every other person. So
it's just like I had people that were atheists, and they were in class, and I said, well, he said, well, how can I use this if I don't believe in it? And I said, you don't have to believe in it. What is there to believe?
Yeah, if you want to believe, you can go to a church.
But if you're thinking if you're an atheist, you have to think there's something else.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's a very different quandary. You don't have to believe in anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it's more about you have to trust in yourself and more or less in the process. Yeah.
Yes, and trust in that superconscious will do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because superconscious will never cause harm to anyone.
Mm-hmm. So I like the idea of calling it the Force.
Yeah, I do too.
Just kind of
but
universal wisdom, or however we will call it.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And you just said at the beginning of your answer that if superconscious says yes, so how do we communicate with superconscious mind during the hypnosis session?
Well, we set up idiomotor responses on each hand.
Yeah.
Because both hands have to show. The one is static, does not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you set up the yes and no's, and we don't do it like the old way. You do it out of hypnosis.
Yeah.
Which fingers do you want to use? And they show you. Or sometimes they used to do it inside hypnosis, and they'd say, how do you say one yes or no? And then they'd add, well, maybe, and I won't want to talk about it. And then that bringing in conscious mind stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how I developed just yes and no. And it didn't matter. It would find a way of saying if it was something different.
Yep.
So the hand at first feels like you're doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not supposed to believe it. You are a whole being. So the person, I'd say, well, you're a whole being. You can help at the beginning when you're just starting. And just after a while, you don't even remember. And then he don't remember, and the fingers are going by themselves.
Yeah, nothing to add there. So just let's move on a little. So the main audience here are people who are interested in hypnosis, hypnotherapy, or are already hypnotists and hypnotherapists. So what are the benefits of using Simpson Protocol in a hypnotherapy office?
Okay. So when you're starting and you're brand new,
Yeah.
you find that you have judgment before. Well, what do I do now? Should I do regression? Should I do this? So we don't even have that. We have no judgment in anything. So I don't have judgment inside me. I do sometimes, because, so I just say, well, go to the back, because I'm not interfering.
Yeah.
So if you do that, the superconscious will get the right, I can't think of the word.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, the right issue. There we go.
Yeah.
So we don't even need to ask for the issue.
Mm-hmm.
We have our intention in our head. The superconscious takes my intention and would take your intention. You will not be in as trust as I am, because I have had many, many encounters with the superconscious.
Yeah.
You never have. So that's built up. He's the client benefit. But from our point of view is we make no judgment.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have to prepare for every client, because it's just like that.
Yes.
Process protocol.
It's never, ever have the fear. When someone comes in they say they're coming for smoking. But the minute they come in, they say, oh, this is what I really want to work on.
Yeah.
And here you go, the hypnotherapist looking for scripts. And, it's not, you never have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. It's all just very simple.
Yeah. Very simple, very easy, quick.
Yeah, it's quick.
Holistic.
I think it was a lot longer when I was doing it by myself.
Yeah.
But now the field has grown so much that it's so much faster.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So, benefits for the hypnotist: no judgment, fast, easy. I don't have to think about what to do with a specific issue or client.
That's right.
Works for everyone. And even if they don't speak my language fluently, so because superconscious mind doesn't
have a language.
Yeah.
And it's just after they get too high and are connected, then it doesn't matter if I was Chinese or Brazilian or anything. But I can't talk all the languages, so I couldn't do that anyway. But I don't have to worry about each nuance or anything, because it's intention.
Mm-hmm. So, but then back from the hypnotist, moving on to the client. So what are the benefits for the client?
Well, the client gets it much easier than regular type hypnosis. It'll do regression in a quiet way with no big emotions. There's no
tears.
No tears, yes. But there's no abreactions.
Oh, no abreactions, yeah.
Yeah. there's some mild ones and nothing. So that's a big, big gift. So, and they get it easy.
Yeah, and they don't have to share their life
They don't
story
ever
with
have to
us.
No.
Yeah, they don't have to talk about what's the issue. It's about their intention.
In fact, if they do talk about it, and they talk about it all the time, don't they? So they are setting it in, every time they talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I say, I don't want to know about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess there are some clients, it's hard for them because they are used to, if they go through to a therapist, they have to talk about everything, and that we have to know anything.
No.
But I see it in the eyes of my clients sometimes when I say, well, yeah, I don't care. I don't want to know it. What's your desired outcome? Why are you here for? What will you achieve with this session? And that's everything I asked before. So
this is just an example. And there's a therapist in Australia,
mm-hmm.
and he's had a guy come in to quit heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And in the old days, when he was doing regular hypnosis, he would have stuck to smoking and weight loss.
Yeah.
But with this, he touches everything. So his question was very good. He said to the guy, you've been doing this for 20 years or 25 years. What makes you start every time you stop? When you have
mm-hmm.
the desire to stop. He said, the extreme pain in my body.
Okay.
So he said, well, superconscious mind, is this his pain? Does he need the pain? No. Can you take it away? Yes. And that was it. Mm-hmm. Then he did the 4 sessions on all the other stuff, but he quit the heroin the first week. So it's exceptionally good if that was such a good question.
Mm-hmm. So, that was, I agree, very good question. So another thing which just came up here is, how fast do I see results?
Yes. Okay, that all depends. Mm-hmm. We ask superconscious, how long will this process, we call the session.
Yeah.
We call the session. What is this work? Because sometimes the work I do mostly telepathic, and I do 4 or 5, 8, 6, that way. But I'm doing it 20 years. Mm-hmm. So let's say somebody's starting, they're probably reading and they're probably looking at things, and it'll be 1 or 2, and what was the original question?
The question was, how fast do I see results?
So it was different for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be different for everyone. I've had people process 1 session for 13 weeks. Mm-hmm. And in that 13 weeks, they'll go up and down mm-hmm. in the feeling. They'll still get the old feeling up. And they'll go through the whole process of getting them finished.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the person. And, they feel good, but they may feel bad for a while.
Mm-hmm. So, on which issues can I use the Simpson Protocol?
Everything. And I don't mean just everything. Everybody says, you can't use everything. But you can do everything with hypnosis. And I can give you some examples. You work with cancer, you work with, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter. So, anyway, I always lose my place. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but I guess
that's because I get sidetracked off of the question, and then I go back. So that is the reason. Mm-hmm. They feel good after that. And they will be different. People say, will my personality be different? I said, no. But they won't react mm-hmm. the same way. And if you talk to the family, they say, oh, they're entirely different. They're just back to where they were when they were 6 or something, you know?
So do I have to be a spiritual person to work with SP?
No.
Okay, thanks. Really fast answer.
No, that was a fast
and
answer.
Short.
It's short. I mean, everybody's different. I happen to be spiritual, if that's a word they use for it. But that I'm just what I am. Everybody's different. And spiritual, that's blocking people in.
It's also like kind of labeling things. So what does spiritual really mean?
Yes, and that's what people say, oh, I don't want that because I'm not spiritual. So if you are, because it's part of your being. But so we ask all the questions, even if they're not for you.
Yeah. And even if we don't say them out loud. So that the process becomes very scientific.
Yeah.
So do I need kind of a special training before I can learn Simpson Protocol?
No, not really. It's a in-depth, everything they learn is in that process. It's the only hypnosis that teaches that kind of stuff. So if you're a Reiki master or a nurse or, you know, and you can be anything. And a hypnotist even.
So that means I don't have to take a hypnosis basic training before taking Simpson Protocol.
No, you can't say you're a trained hypnotist. You are a Simpson Protocol.
Okay. Which brings me to the next question. Is Simpson Protocol easy to learn?
I think the only difference is you have to move your mind a little bit. You look at it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
But then it is easy peasy.
And so what I think is that it's getting easier and easier. So when we remember 10 years ago, it was way harder to learn because it was I won't say it was a different protocol, but things have changed over the years. And
I think as we learn more, we impact it. We learn less is more. And I think if you do that, like we did the last weekend, you do a new first session, and we go, that's fine, you know. But that might change again, and who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. So, is Simpson Protocol a very strict to follow process, or can I use it my own way?
Well, everybody would, I hope, use it their own way. Eventually, it has to become you and superconscious. So it's going to be different. We have a book coming out. I don't know when it is, with all different, and you could see the varied kind of things that happen. But up till now, I really think it should be you say Simpson Protocol and Musher. It's Simpson Protocol and Simpson. But we don't do that. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But it would be like that.
Okay. So just make it your own, or you can make it your own. So at the beginning, we give you kind of that structure that you can easily follow to learn it, to inhale the process. And so what I tell my students after they did it the first time, I always say, okay, give me the manuals back now, just do it on your own. So it has kind of that structure, and we give the students the questions they should ask, but it's like an open source software
Yeah.
where you can integrate everything you know and everything you might want to ask, because you just ask
if a
superconscious
thought comes
mind.
in your head, ask it. You know,
Ask it, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
What can they say? Yes or no? You
Well,
know?
the worst thing that can happen is just the no finger comes up.
Yeah.
So that's the worst thing. So it is easy, not a strict process. You can make it your own. And even if you should watch a session done by you or a session done by me, it's same but different, as
Different, yeah. And
because we just do it slightly a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yes.
A little different.
And that's okay.
And, you know, look at, if you, Christoph managed to grow a kidney from nothing, because the guy had no kidney. So they went to the hospital, had x-rays and everything, and they took it along the way, and there was a kidney growing there. So I don't know how long it took exactly, and they kept their, and that was great. But how many people would be able to do that?
Yeah, I'd say not that
much.
It
would nobody, unless he was so open.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he won.
Open to possibilities.
Yeah.
You said that before, yeah.
And nobody understands that. So what is open to possibility? Can you explain it?
Just to be open, but the thing is, I know you like Bruce Lipton, so
Yeah.
I'd say it's not just what I think, it's also the people around me, because I say, so for example, if that guy came up and said, well, the hypnotist and I are trying to regrow a kidney, what does the other people say? Yeah.
Well, the other people
what's
say,
wrong with you?
Yeah, that's right. What's wrong with
that
you?
That wouldn't work. So, and that is just...
And there is a limiting belief.
Yeah.
We take away all limiting beliefs in superconscious land. But it is dependent on the client to have an open thought. And if a doctor says to them, you have cancer, you only have 6 months to live, what do they remember?
6 months
to live. Yeah. So we need to do that. I say you have to say, I believe, I choose to believe, not that. Anything but that. And you don't specify.
Yeah.
And you leave it open to possibility.
So possibilities. Where do you see the future of Simpson Protocol?
I don't really see it till I do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting super conscious, putting the thought in my head. So I have no idea, but I know that it's going to happen soon. We're going to change something in the next, should be pretty soon, I think. But I never know what it is till I do know.
But so, I'm not the creator, so I know I'm working with Simpson Protocol for more than 10 years. So it changed a lot over the past. So we never know what the future brings.
No.
But what I can say is that it's getting easier for the practitioner and also for the client. And that is kind of the, let's call it future, that things are changing always in a good direction, just to get better results with less work, for example. Less is more. Yeah, less is more. So, and that are the things that changed. So when I look back, when I started with SP, my sessions took 2 up to 3 hours, and nowadays it's just 45 minutes and I'm done. So, and that is the future. It's getting faster, easier, better.
I know. I sometimes on a second session, I'll do like 11 issues. Now, in normal hypnosis, that they can only do 1 or 2 issues or in that time. So it depends on the client if they're going to work that way.
And if they are open for possibilities.
Yes, it's always the same. I say, if, always be open to possibilities, because everybody thinks they are. But then they say, we say, so-and-so has this, and, the doctors say they have 2 months or 3 months. And they say, oh, yeah, that's normal. That's where we think.
Yeah.
So we're not open to possibility. When I say open to possibility, I mean open. Yeah.
So you just told the story with the kidney guy. Do you have 1 or 2 other success stories from
we've
clients
got lots
or
of
something?
Well,
yeah, I know we have a lot, but
we have a lot. I've got a lady that had cancer, and she had a tumor as big as my hand.
Okay.
In the vulva, in the area. So I got it. I didn't get it. I'm super conscious. Got rid of it in 4 weeks, 4 sessions. And then she came back for sessions. I only had, she was terrified of it coming back. So I had to make another 4 sessions, about 20 minutes or so, and bring everything else, all the fears, all the whatever was new. So now she's living a very fearless life. And what was another one I was thinking about? The opposite. Do you want to hear the opposite?
What do you mean by the opposite?
Not so, doesn't work out so good.
Well, we are honest here, so
Yes.
we don't hide anything. So let's give an example of the opposite.
A guy he's got ALS. So he's already, moved like this. So I managed to, at the beginning he seemed ready to move, and it started going. But he was living with his wife, and he couldn't leave, and she was constantly talking how the hypnosis wouldn't work, and So really, and I saw when he gave up, and then he gave up, and it went very quickly.
Yeah.
So, we're not magic. You can't do things without the client's help. So.
Yeah, as I always say, we are not doing the work. It's them. We are just like a guide who shows you all the sides, but you have to walk on your own.
So when the client gives up, it's done.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Ms. Ines?
No, I can't think of anything too much. I've explained this so many times, but now I have different issues myself.
Yeah.
I don't always remember the words. They're here, but they're not here. So I'm now improving, and it's getting better all the time. But so there has to be just a little bit of belief that I wasn't so stupid.
Well, maybe we should mention that you had a little health issue going on a little time ago.
No, well, I had done 11 trainings in 10 months. I was working around the clock with my students and my clients, and I said, I'm going to quit 3 weeks because this has got to go. I can't work this hard. So I had a stroke about right before Christmas. And that was, 2 years ago now. Is it 2 or 3? I'm not sure.
I guess it was in 2020 or 2021. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
So I've seen the improvements from that stroke.
Yeah,
till
now.
Today. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is I remember when you was
I used
just sitting
superconscious
there
mind
and
to help me.
couldn't
all
really
the
talk.
way
And,
through.
yeah.
Because, I couldn't talk and I couldn't walk.
Mhm.
So this is me now. I walk slowly downstairs. And I expect your honor that because I'm 71 years old and that's just it. I'm just me.
And that's good.
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty all we have to say today. So
Okay.
thank you, Miss Simpson,
You're
for
welcome.
inventing Simpson Protocol.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'm always glad that Hans-Peter talked to me about Simpson Protocol
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Yes.
So,
But he couldn't.
well, the good thing is, so for those of you who don't know who he is, he's a colleague from Switzerland. And I was there having some sessions with him. And he was just using the beach deepener, which is just a little part of the process. And he was talking about there is this lady in Canada and she developed this process because he took the training before. He never worked with it, but he's just, we talked so much about Simpson Protocol, and he's years later he said, so the one thing is I got curious and just did some exploring about Miss Simpson. Back in the day, there wasn't a really good website and nothing else. So I had to go over the Atlantic Ocean to take the training and everything. So, but when I saw the first Simpson Protocol session, I felt in love immediately because that was kind of the holy grail I was looking for, to make it easier for the client. So I always did the regression to cause therapy stuff. And so that was the easy approach. But what I just want to mention is that Hans-Peter, I don't know, it was in 2017 or something, he said, yeah, well, it's all suggestion, what we do in SP. And I always tell my students this story because if you're just a little more experienced, you, as Ines mentioned, you just move on with telepathic questioning and just let superconscious mind do the work. So if we could work just without using words and give suggestions without using words, I'd say we are the best hypnotists in the world.
Yes, I agree.
So,
and that's true. And I never agreed with that.
I don't agree with that too. So,
but he's allowed to have his opinion.
Limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Which is okay. Yeah. So we don't judge.
He's a nice man.
Yes, and we don't judge. And if he wouldn't just plant this little seed, I guess we're not sitting here and chatting about Simpson Protocol.
Yeah, that's true.
So thanks, Hans-Peter, for talking about the beach deepener and that lady from Canada.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, so thank you for your time, Miss Ines. And that's it for today. So goodbye and see you soon.
Goodbye.
Das war der Hypno School Podcast. Baue das Selbstvertrauen auf, das du brauchst, um erfolgreich mit Hypnose zu arbeiten. Lerne jetzt Hypnose und Hypnosetherapie auf www.hypnoschool.de.